So, first let me introduce myself. I'm someone who is a free speech absolutist. This means I believe in free speech, no ifs, no buts. At the same time, I'm completely intolerant. I do not believe in tolerance. Perhaps I'm the least tolerant person in this room. And if you think these two are contradictory, I'm here to tell you they're not contradictory. I'm also here to tell you that Popper was wrong, that there is no free speech and tolerance paradox. Listen for the next 7 minutes or so, and you'll figure out what I mean. So, why am I free speech absolutist? Because I believe that free speech is not a luxury. Free speech is not something that we can have in a society when things go well, but then when there's a crisis or something, we get rid of it. Free speech is not like a cool coat that we wear it on a sunny day, and then we put it aside. Free speech is an existential need. What does existential need mean? It means that we cannot live a proper life without it. Why is that? Because to us, human beings, knowledge does not come automatically. We have to think, we have to experiment with our thoughts, we have to figure things out. And this is how progress has come. For example, we have to think, shall we stay in the cave or shall we build a hut? Shall we eat this poisonous thing or shall we leave it aside? Shall we admire this totem or shall we study nature and understand how things work? So human progress and the progress of our life is a process of thinking. So we have to be free to think and experiment with ideas. Now, what is the material expression of the freedom of thought? It's the freedom of speech. I have to be free to express what I think, to put it into words, to put it into film, to think out loud. So free speech is something which is very, very important. And this idea of free speech, I get it from Ayn Rand, which if you want to read more, free books over there, and I've left some on the desk, so you're welcome. So, what does then free speech mean? It means that we have a right, as with every right, to action, which means I have a right to speak or I have a right to publish something. Notice though, a right to action is not the same as me having a right to other people providing me with a platform for this speech. Let me give you an example. I have a right, for example, to put pineapple in my pizza. If you find this disgusting, you don't have an obligation to serve me that pizza. The same happens with speech, and unfortunately, so many people get this wrong. The fact that we have free speech does not mean that we have a claim to the platform of other people. So, kein Problem. So, if Elon Musk doesn't want me on Twitter, tough luck for me. He hasn't got an obligation to have me there. So when I describe myself as a free speech absolutist, it means I recognize the right of other people to exercise their free speech, which means their right to exclude me. Their right to tell me, we don't want you here, we don't want you in our platforms, go away. And then I shall go away. So, are there limits to free speech, is the usual question. I say no. But then someone would say, what about incitement to violence? What about someone saying, gathering a gang and taking them to the synagogue and saying, let's burn it? I would say this doesn't even fall under free speech. Inciting violence is a domain which is outside of the domain of free speech. It's already a crime. So I don't see it as a limitation of free speech. It would be like saying, are there limits to property rights because you cannot launch rockets from your balcony? No. Launching rockets from your balcony is anyway illegal. Therefore, be careful of people who try to bring from the back window, as we say in Greek, limitations to free speech when there's no reason to do so. Initiation of violence is already a crime. We don't need to limit free speech for that. Now, how about tolerance? Well, the term is very, very vague. I believe, for the lack of a better word, in political tolerance. What does political tolerance mean? It means that everyone has the same rights, even people I don't like. It would be a mockery of rights if we told that rights apply only to good people. Rights are either universal or they're a joke. We cannot say we have rights for blondes but not for brunettes. And equally, we cannot say we have rights for good people, but not for bad people. But this is where my tolerance ends. Tolerating someone's rights is not the same, and it's not even closely related to morally tolerating them. So, this is why I declare myself as morally intolerant. This means I don't consider all ideas equally good. And I don't like people who are tolerant in that way. Say, well, the jihadis, there's something into them, and white nationalists, you know, they feel excluded, and these other vandals, you know, maybe we should listen to them. No. The fact that they have rights, and I have to respect them, doesn't mean that I have to endorse them or to sanction them or even to give them the benefit of telling them, well, you know, there's something to your opinion. So, do I need to explain, by the way, what is Popper's paradox, or do we know it? In very simple words, it means that if you have freedom, then the enemies of freedom have freedom of speech, and then they have the freedom to act on their unfree ideas, and then they take the freedom away from us losers who believe in freedom, but we are soft. This is why I think that there is no paradox here, and this is why I think that Popper was wrong. He's confusing two things. First, he doesn't understand that individual rights and tolerance are two different domains. Free speech is an individual right. It's not a favor that the state gives us, and it's not courtesy of someone's benevolence that people have rights. Whereas tolerance, as moral tolerance, is something that either I can give to someone or not. You have to gain it for me. You have to persuade me that you're worthy of my respect to give you, let's say, moral tolerance. But when it comes to political tolerance on people's rights, here's Popper's confusion. There's a huge difference between people's rights and people's deeds. You want to be a white nationalist and believe that the white race is superior? No problem. Go hire a basement and believe that. But this does not give you the right to go outside and do pogroms. This does not give you the right to threaten people. Or do you think that the apocalypse is coming in 10 years? Okay, more power to you. Go to Twitter, if Elon Musk will have you, tweet about it, or shout from the rooftop. You don't have a right, however, to go and paint shops. And you don't have a right to go and vandalize pieces of art, like some people have done lately. So the difference is that you have a right to your freedom of speech. You don't have a right to violate other people's rights. That's why I cannot understand why there is a paradox. There is no paradox here. Again, you're a bad person, you're a Nazi, you're a Stalinist, whatever. Feel free to exercise your speech if people will have you, if you find a platform. But you don't have any right to threaten or to pursue violence. Let them speak, but the moment they become violent, hit them hard. The law should hit them hard. This is why I think there is no paradox. Now, to cover the last objection, and with this I'll be done. Popper would say, but what will happen if, by giving them freedom of speech, they persuade a critical mass of people, and now 60% of the population will be fascists? In that case, I would say, this society would have way, way more serious problems than the paradox of tolerance. I would even say it's beyond redemption. And I would even say that then we would have to ask serious questions about what we did so wrong, that 60% of the people in a free market of ideas find the ideas of fascism appealing. But let me also dispel a myth. The Nazis did not come to power because they were, quote, free speech in the Weimar Republic. Actually, there was not. So let's demolish this myth. It's not because of free speech that bad ideas prevail. It's because we, who should be doing a better job defending good ideas, are not doing a job which is good enough. So, because of all this, I declare myself a free speech absolutist, and I declare myself proudly morally intolerant. Thank you.